welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is doing well. So today, guys, we are at episode 2 of What It Takes. So in this episode, we have a special guest with me today, guys, from Medicare Millennials here on YouTube. They have a channel on YouTube called Medicare Millennials, and I am talking to Kenny today, guys. So you definitely want to check out this interview. So if you want to watch this interview, keep watching this video. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So in this episode of What It Takes, we have a special guest with us today. His name is Kenny, and he also has a YouTube channel as well, and he's a successful Medicare agent. So Kenny, can you please introduce yourself?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Yeah, like she mentioned, my name's Kenny. I have done a lot of different things trying to get started in the senior market insurance space, but fortunately, I stumbled into Medicare a few years ago, and that's really what I focus on now. And then, of course, our channel is Medicare Millennials, and where we just kind of teach what we do and what's been successful for us on our journey to building a Medicare book of business. So, we're still pretty early on in the Medicare space, I would say, because a lot of people that you kind of hear about have been doing it 20 or 30 years. We're not that far yet, obviously. So we feel like we can share some of the nitty gritty new agent stuff. So that's kind of what our channel is about.
Pretty cool. And it's so funny because when I first started, your channel was one of the channels that I watched. So I was like, oh my gosh, because nobody was really doing videos on YouTube. So it's kind of amazing that we're talking right now, like 2 years later. So that's pretty cool.
It's always surprised me that there's not more. There's a lot of videos about life insurance and property and casualty, but just not that many about Medicare. So
yeah, definitely. So one of the questions I have for you, Kenny, is how did you get started?
Oh man, well, like a lot of people that get into the insurance business, I never thought that I would. I didn't have any experience in it. My family I don't have a single family member that's in the insurance business. I actually went to school to be an accountant, and, pretty boring career, but I figured it would be stable and I'd have a job, and I did, but it was boring. It was just super boring. And so I was looking through online job boards, just like maybe I'd be good at sales. I've always been a talker, so I was just looking for any kind of sales job. And I kind of got finagled into like a group interview for a captive insurance agency in the Dallas area. And so I just stumbled into it. But it was funny because at that time I was interested in doing something in sales, walked into this meeting. It was, as you can imagine, if you've ever been in like a group interview, especially for something like insurance, you get all kinds of walks of life that are there for that interview. Some are dressed up, some are dressed down, just really kind of make you feel a little bit awkward. But one of the main interviewers that worked for this agency happened to be from a small town in the panhandle of Texas, right by the small town I grew up in. So I immediately had like a connection with this guy, and he seemed really authentic and trustworthy to me. And so I just said, well, I don't have anything to lose here, and went and got my life and health license in like a week and a half. I got all that done. So I wasn't doing much at the time. And then the next thing you know, I was at a captive agency learning how to do mostly final expense, but we also did Medicare supplements and a lot of ancillary products like cancer, dental, and vision. So the main focus was final expense, no Medicare Advantage, and just some Medicare supplements. So that's how I kind of stumbled into this career.
Okay. So right now you are independent, right? I just want to make sure we point that out.
Yes. So I was captive for about 3 years, and I did well. Like the first year was really hard. Didn't do well. I don't remember exactly how much I made, probably like $35,000 or something. And second year, it was like a little bit better. I maybe got excited because I probably made like 60,000. But then it really started doing well. But the year that I started doing well was also when I realized, I'm captive. Like, you put a lot of years into this business for it to pay off. And as a captive, you get a lot of good training usually, but you really don't have much to show for it long term. So that's about 3.5 years in. I realized I needed to go independent. And so went independent, and really then I stumbled for another 1.5 years because going independent's different. There wasn't the support structure there. And there wasn't a lot of YouTube videos out there to guide you, right? And if you would call somebody to ask them for help that was experienced, they wanted you to join their agency, period, and or else they didn't want to give information. So that was tough. It took a couple of years as an independent to get my feet back under me. So,
And I can see that's probably the reason why you started your own channel to help agents out. So that's kind of cool.
it's just fun, it doesn't cost me anything but a little bit of time, and I have fun sharing what I'm going through as a Medicare agent and interacting with other agents. So yeah.
This is like a very common question that people ask. I'm definitely going to ask you this. And that is, what is your marketing strategy, and like, how do you generate your own leads?
Yeah, of course. That's the bread and butter of the business, what every agent has to determine for themselves. I've done Facebook leads. I've paid people or agencies to try to get leads to a landing page that they built for me, right? So like Google ads, Facebook ads to try to drive traffic to a landing page so people will call me. I've door knocked. I've called cold call lists, not for Med Advantage, of course, but when I was doing final expense. And I've even done live transfers because for a little while I was doing telesales, final expense. And with all that being said, I've spent a lot of time, effort, and money that I didn't have trying to figure out what lead would work best for me. And it's really come down to two things for me. And I believe the combination of these two things will get any Medicare agent where they want to be, I believe, especially if you're a small operation. If your goal is to build a giant organization or a call center, maybe it's different. But if you're really just a mom and pop organization, want to build a nice little successful book, I think that this is the route I go and what I recommend for a lot of agents. And that's direct mail as the bread and butter. Okay. And the reason direct mail is not necessarily because it's the best lead, but what it is it's stable and consistent and pretty high intent compared to a lot of phone generated or internet generated leads. That's not always the case here. I know there's nuance, but generally speaking, direct mail has been the same for however long before I've been in this business. And it's a little competitive and it's not super cheap, but it's consistent. And so I think that's what every new agent needs is consistency. And then, and I can speak more to direct mail leads, but just to answer the question, direct mail is what I do. And then I also, now that I'm in the Medicare space, I've been planting those seeds with local networking, right? So that's BNI groups, Chamber of Commerce, leads, lunches, so local business owners will kind of get together for a luncheon and get to know each other, see if they can refer each other business. Senior centers, okay, those are a lot of fun because you can volunteer there. And do anything from call bingo to they have all kinds of activities at senior centers that will help you build relationships. You've mentioned this before, but just going to kind of 55 plus apartments and meeting the director and say, hey, I'd love to do a free Medicare educational course. I do no selling at that time. It's purely educational. And then if I'm able to help somebody, one of y'all's tenants, they can set up an appointment with me later. So local networking. Now that I haven't been doing as long. I've really only put a lot of effort in that in the past a little over a year. And so from my experience, there's a longer turnaround on the effort you put into that. So for a brand new agent, if maybe you have a solid income from a career that you have. So if somebody is in that position, maybe they're patient and they want to just do local networking, I'm all for it. But if they're wanting to go all in and start making some money up front, that's where I think you need the direct mail lead component to keep you busy day in and day out. But long term, I love that local networking approach, like middle to long term. So I hope that answers.
Yeah, that definitely. I feel like if someone is low on income, definitely grassroots in the community. If someone has the income to generate the leads, definitely the mailers. Because some people are like, I don't have $500 a week or whatever it is to do the mailers, but both are great, great ways to generate leads for sure.
I would just mention one thing though. In this, some people, it would be irresponsible to spend that money on the leads, maybe, right? Like depending on their situation. But for some people, I think it's a little bit more fear because they probably could do the money. It would just be risky. And so the only thing I would tell that person is if they're literally don't have the money, then of course it isn't going to work. But if they're like, I really need that money, I would just encourage them that as long as they've got a really good training platform and they're prepared, and if they're willing to also sell some life insurance with Medicare, you're going to make the money back and then some.
Yes,
If you're
good
doing
point.
everything right. And so once you get that and you have a little bit of confidence, you stop looking at it as an expense. You're going to spend 500, but you're going to make 750 or 2000, right? Or whatever. You're going to make more than that. So, just a little word to the wise, I guess, is there's a lot of calculated risks we have to take in this business, and buying leads at some point is one of them that's worth taking, I believe. So
Actually, that's a great point to point out. So, okay, so another question is, I know you and Ethan are partners.
mhm.
So, what would you say is a pro and a con of having a partner? Did you guys start straight up, like from the beginning as partnership, or later on?
So that's a funny little short story. I met Ethan through a mutual friend back when I was at that captive agency as a brand new insurance agent. Well, like a lot of brand new insurance agents, I was all gung ho. I thought it was all going to be roses, and I didn't know how hard this career is. But so I kind of sold him on it. He was at a little bit of a dead end job, I guess, for him. He didn't like it, so I sold him on the opportunity, and so he joined the captive agency that I was at, and I kind of got to train him and everything. And it wasn't long. Ethan's a great salesperson, so it wasn't long before he was better than me. But I did originally train him in the business. And so when we left, the reason that we were partners wasn't like because we had this business plan and we each had like this much money to contribute. Like we had nothing. We had really no money. But it was because we knew that this business can be lonely. Like, and what I mean by that is if you're really putting in the work, you're really grinding and you're doing this full time, like you're buying your leads, you're on the road or you're on the phones all day, just trying to get a few customers, and you can get discouraged in that grind. Well, in a regular job, like hopefully you've got coworkers and managers and things to pick you up and encourage you. But as an independent insurance agent, you don't have that. And like maybe you have a spouse or a friend that encourages you, but they're not in the trenches. So they don't, like, they can only say so much to encourage you and help keep you going. So it was more of a thing like, hey, dude, let's just do this together, because if you get discouraged, you can hop in the car with me one day and we'll go, or we can, we can share in some of the lead costs, like buy more leads and share in that. So that's why we did it. And so we have been partners ever since we've been independent. Yes.
Oh wow, that's so cool. Were you guys friends before?
Not really. We had mutual friends.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's how we met and then became friends once we worked together.
Okay. So I heard a lot of the pros. So what would you say some of the cons are working with a partner?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, first and foremost, some of the cons are you may not always see things the same way. So, as your business evolves and it grows, you're gonna have new opportunities or new challenges. So you and a partner or multiple partners may not see eye to eye on that new challenge, right? Like everything was hunky dory before, but now you've got this new lead opportunity or whatever. You're adding a new product, and y'all just don't see it the same way. Well, when you're by yourself, you have the autonomy to say, I don't really care what anybody thinks. This is what I think we should do, and we're going to do it. But, that's the same that's true if you're like married, right? Like you and your spouse aren't always going to see eye to eye and agree on the way that you should go. So that can be a con, but it's only a con if you don't address it beforehand. So when you go into business with somebody, you need to agree on what your long-term goals are up front, and you need to agree on how you're going to resolve a conflict when it inevitably comes. Because most partnerships fail simply because they can't see eye to eye and they don't know how to resolve a conflict. So it's going to slow you down in some ways because you've got to coordinate with somebody else. It isn't a dictatorship. Another con may just be, let's just say that your business booms and you hit the gold mine somehow, but you're splitting everything and operating as a business. There may be times that you look and you go, man, I could be getting all of the profit from this, or we're finally getting some success. I feel like maybe I did a little bit more of the work or found that great opportunity. So there's a level of humility there to understand that if whatever you agreed upon up front, regardless, is what you're going to share in going forward. And so if you're that type of person, it's like, look, I just want the fruits of my own labor and I don't want to decide because I know what I do, then that can be a con, right? Because you're looking here at one or multiple partners and you feel like maybe you did more work and deserve more of the income, but you're obligated to distribute that in a different way. So those are a couple of things I can think of. Are there any things that you imagine in your mind personally that would be a really good pro or a con to getting into this business with a partner?
That's a good question. I just feel like it's hard to find a partner because I've tried. I mean, I have literally offered this opportunity to so many people, and everybody so far has said no, no, no. I think people just don't see the real value in it. I feel like it's hard to find someone like you. I feel like you and Ethan are really blessed that you guys was able to find each other from the beginning, because a lot of people don't want to do the hard work. They want to come in after you're successful, and at that point it may just be a little too late. So that's where I am for myself, I do want to find a partner, but trying to find someone that's really all in like you are, it's hard. Because people don't really want to start a business from the ground up. They want to enter it after the fact. So that's why I asked you that question. So I think it's very interesting, and I think it's great that you was able to find someone from the beginning.
That's a great point that you make, and I would just tell new agents, don't try to force a partnership.
That's what someone told me too as well.
You would rather go at it alone than end up in a tumultuous partnership. Somebody will cross your path someday that it makes sense for y'all to join forces for various reasons. But I've seen people hey, this guy has capital and we're good. Almost like they don't have the same mission. They don't have the same ideals or idea of what the business is going to be. And they try to force it. And I don't think that's a recipe for disaster, I think. So
yeah,
just partnering with the right FMO is kind of like your partnership, right? Because at the end of the day, with the insurance business, we're independent, but we're not completely independent. Whoever you choose to use as your upline to facilitate your business is, in a way, they are a partner of yours. And as well as the other agents you surround yourself with that maybe you don't directly do business together, but you're in partnership with them in different ways. So you don't have to have a direct partner.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm guilty of wanting, every time I'm doing something, I want people to be a part of it. So I think I am guilty of that. So I am working on that to just go ahead and just do it. And, there's no reason to wait on anyone else, honestly. Yep. So that's where I'm at right now. So I have one last question, and that is, give us one good nugget. So what one good tip for anyone that's watching right now?
Just as far as Medicare specifically, you think? Okay. Like I mentioned, I'm only a little ways into this Medicare journey. And I would just tell any new agent to understand that you got to play the long game with Medicare, pure and simple. So everything you do needs to be thinking about 3, 5, 8 years down the road with a Medicare business. And so, for example, when you go sit down with a potential new customer and you can tell they're willy-nilly, they switch all the time and they're not really into what you're presenting, it really does nothing for you to sell them and then switch in 3 months, right? And so with life insurance, you're like, if they can just get through 9 months, I don't care what they do after that. With Medicare, it's like, we need a long relationship for this to make any sense for either of us. So that's one example of like where everything that you do in Medicare, you're thinking of the long term. So that would be a piece of advice I would share with any new agent.
All right, so we talked about partnerships. So let us know, like, if an agent wanted to partner with you, because you're in Texas, right?
Yeah.
How can they reach you?
I'm so sorry for coughing.
It's like
That's a deep cough too. Yeah, no, just our YouTube channel. That's it. So Medicare and Millennials YouTube channel is the best way to, and the website, our little website is in the thing and in our description of every video. And we just partner with our FMO. Our main business is servicing our clients and trying to build our book of business. 90% of the agents that watch our YouTube videos do not necessarily work with us. They've got their own platform and FMO. But for those that are like, man, I really don't know where to turn, we just kind of help connect them with our FMO, like with the people we work with. So, you can definitely reach out to us just for questions or just watch our videos for, it's really geared towards newish agents. But that's the way to kind of keep up with us. So,
all right, cool. All right, Kenny, thank you so much for joining us today on this episode of What It Takes. So
thank you so much, Patricia.
All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this video, guys. Definitely check out Medicare Millennials here on YouTube. Like I said, thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments below, what have you learned from this interview today? And I'll see you, yes, you, on the next video. Bye.
She's putting all of her cards down on the table, knowing there's no way that she'll be able to win this one. But she's somebody